Hello and welcome to this tutorial where we will be creating 2D top-down movement in Unity. In this video we will use Unity's physics engine to create smooth and realistic movement for our 2D game character. So I have a new scene here in Unity. First we will create an empty game object called player. Then as a child of this game object we will add a sprite called graphics. For the purpose of this tutorial I'm just going to be using a simple square. Then in the project window create a new folder called scripts. Inside that folder, create a new C# script called player. This script will be responsible for handling the movement of our character as well as handling any other functions your player needs. Now we can start writing the code for our player controller script. In the script, we will first need to declare a few variables. We will create a rigid body 2D field called RB, as well as a serialized float field called speed and a vector2 variable called movedir. We will set the value of speed to something like 5. I did forget to do this here, but I will go and change it at the end. I will also make sure to add a require component type of rigid body 2D to the top of our script. This means we don't need to worry about forgetting to add a rigid body to our player character, as this line will automatically add the component if the game object doesn't already have it. Next we'll create a method called move and make sure to call it in the fixed update function. The reason we want to call this in fixed update is it's typically good practice to use fixed update for physics calculations. The two things we want to do in this move function are get the move direction and set the rigid body velocity using the move direction and speed. So first we'll focus on getting the move direction. To do this, we will create a new function of type vector2 called getMoveDirection. In here we'll create two floats called horizontal and vertical, both initialized at 0. Now we can go ahead and get the input from the player. Getting input from the player will just be a series of if statements. So our first if statement, we will type if input.getKey keycode.w. So now we're testing if the player is pressing the W key, we can add 1 to the value of vertical. We'll now repeat this with the statement, but we will use keycode.s instead and then subtracting 1 from vertical instead of adding it. Now we can do the same for setting the horizontal float. So we type if input.getKey keycode.d, we will add 1 to horizontal, and the same for keycode.a, we will subtract 1 from horizontal. The last thing we need to do in this function is to return a new vector2 with the horizontal and vertical values. So we will put return new vector horizontal vertical, and we will make sure to normalize this vector so that we don't move faster when going diagonal. We do this by just typing .normalize at the end of this return statement. Now that we have completed this function, we can jump back into the move function and at the start set movedir equal to getMoveDirection. Now we have the move direction, we can get to actually applying the movement. To apply the movement, we are going to modify the rigid body's velocity. To do this is very simple and will just require one line of code. We type rb.velocity is equal to movedir. Now we will want to multiply this by our speed variable so that we can have direct control over how fast the player moves. Final thing we'll want to do in this script is getting the rigid body reference. To do this, we will use the awake function. Once we're inside the awake function, it's very easy to get the reference. We'll simply type rb is equal to gameObject.getComponent rigidbody2D. And there we go. We have the script working. Now we'll jump back into Unity, drag the script onto our player character, and also add a box collider so that our player has collisions. Notice how we don't need to add a rigid body as that component was added by our script. We'll set the rigid body 2D to be of type kinematic as well, as this means that only forces we have through code will be applied. We will also make sure to freeze any rotation on the Z-axis through the constraints tab. And if we play the game now, we can see that we can move left, right, up, down, and diagonally. And that's it. With just a few lines of code, we've created a 2D top-down movement script in Unity. If you found this tutorial helpful, then make sure to like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.